Today on DNVR Buffs Live, we officially have a 2025 schedule, and it broke quite nicely for our Buffs. Chris Sims joins the show to talk about Shedeur's NFL prospects, and we have our old friend, or new friend, depending on how long you've known him, Todd Davis, joining the show to talk about his experience as a coach for the Colorado Buffaloes. Let's do it. Let's go!
Squad!
Let's go!
Welcome in.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about this music.
DNVR Buffs live from Super Bowl 59. Or LIX.
60. 59. 58. 57.
We are presented by Bet365. Download the app. Use promo code DNVR365. Deposit $10. Place a bet of $5, and you'll get $150 in bonus bets directly into your account. We got two guests today. We got a schedule. We have an offensive line coach.
Yeah.
We just got to come to the Super Bowl, and then we just get all our questions answered, and we get all the coaches.
That's why we're here. Get our questions answered.
Yes, sir. 2025 schedule is fully out. We knew what the non-con was. We discovered the break in the non-con yesterday. That was filled by Houston. Can you pull this up? Show it on screen? I will, yes. Initial takeaways from this schedule, boys. Who wants to go first?
Yeah, I said this in our short little video earlier, but this is a really, really nice schedule for Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, it starts with the beginning of the schedule. You're going to have a new quarterback in Julian Lewis or Caden Salter working on meshing with their team. As much as you can get the work in spring and fall, fall camp, there's going to be growing pains early in a season as a quarterback gets on the same page at game speed with a group of wide receivers and just running the offense as a whole. You start with 4 home games out of 5, and I just think that's huge. It makes your life a lot easier being at home for these games, and the one road game is at Houston, which, with all due respect, is not one of the more hostile environments in this conference. So you get Georgia Tech, which will be a big early challenge.
Yeah.
You get Delaware, which should be a nice kind of rhythm-making game. You do go out to Houston, and then you come back to Wyoming for a little palate cleanser before you go into the full gamut of the Big 12 schedule, and then you start, you get back on with BYU. That's 4 out of 5 at home to just, to me, build a rhythm with your offense before you take on the meat of the schedule. And the other thing that I noted was at no point in this whole schedule do you have back-to-back road games.
Huge.
You think when you start with 4 out of 5 home games, there's going to be a tough road stretch in there somewhere, and it just never comes.
Yep.
I think the buys are really nicely placed, too, for this team. Particularly, obviously, the first one comes, after, 6 games or so, and then you go into a really important stretch. Utah, Arizona, at Utah versus Arizona, at West Virginia. Those are 2 raucous environments, maybe the 2 toughest places they'll play all year. Up there in Salt Lake City, where Colorado hasn't won since 2011, 0-6 in Salt Lake City since then. And obviously Morgantown can get pretty rowdy as well. So that's a huge stretch. Again, that's coming off a bye, and then they get another bye before what could be the stretch run of his season that could potentially decide who ends up playing in the Big 12 championship game. You get Arizona State, who obviously won the Big 12 this year, in the second to last week of the regular season. And then you close with the game I'm probably most looking forward to watching all year is that rematch against Kansas State that obviously was a thriller here in 2024. Ended with a game-winning touchdown with about a minute or so left. A lot of guys back from Kansas State, obviously a decent amount of talent back from Colorado as well. Again, those two final games could really decide potentially Big 12 championship game implications, potentially college football playoff implications. So, again, to be able to go into that final 2-week stretch, which is crucial coming off a bye, I think is really beneficial for this Buffs team.
There's hardly any time for rest early on, though. You got 7 straight weeks of games to start off the season. You're going to have to figure out a lot of stuff pretty quickly, especially the quarterback competition. But thankfully you do have those games against Delaware, against Wyoming, to maybe play both and just figure some things out in those kind of – they're non-conference games. Of course, they're important, but they're kind of trial runs a bit, right?
What are your thoughts on this, too? I was kind of thinking about this earlier. I feel like it wouldn't be crazy to think that the beginning of the season early on, it's going to be a lot on Robert Livingston and his defense to kind of carry the load early on. There's maybe this offense with a lot of new guys on it, obviously at the quarterback position in particular. But I feel like it's going to be really imperative for this defense to kind of get off to a fast start. Again, maybe carry the load for the first 3 or 4 weeks as this offense kind of gets gelled and really acclimated with playing with each other.
Yeah, and I think that can and maybe even should be the identity of this football team.
Yeah.
You're going to go into that week 1 game against Georgia Tech, and I feel like, not to get into like a game preview a half a year in advance,
do it.
But it's like if you're going to win that game, it feels like one that you're going to have to grind it out, low scoring,
100%.
Lock them up, use that home field advantage.
Run the football.
And,
right.
You come out that, then you have Delaware. Let's just say you have a great defensive performance then. You have Houston, who is an offense who really struggled in the Big 12 last year. You could come out and all of a sudden go through that early schedule. It's hard to say non-conference, the first 4 games,
Right.
and say, okay, this defense is what we're all about. And hopefully you have a running game to go alongside it. But, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for a defense to come out here and set a tone and almost build an identity for you in these first 4 games. That's like, it's not going to be easy to get past us.
Yep, and then after that, you kind of face the best of the Big 12. BYU, Iowa State. TCU wasn't an easy out last year, one of the most explosive offenses in the conference. And then you hit that 3-game stretch after the first bye week where you really got to kind of settle in. And hopefully, just like last year, you wrap up bowl eligibility by then. Even before then, you have a chance to do that before the first bye week this next year. So there's all the goals right there in front of you as, again, you got to hit the ground running with 7 straight weeks of football to start the season.
Yeah, and assuming there aren't going to be any crazy surprises in the Big 12 this year, it looks like Colorado's going to have their shot at every team that we expect to be, competing for a Big 12 championship, this season. So that's also beneficial as well.
Kansas State actually has 3 byes this year. Did you guys see that?
Do they play week 0?
They might, but yeah.
They got. Oh,
What?
Huh?
no. I thought this was Kansas State's schedule.
No, this is last year.
Right.
I'm pulling it up.
No,
But,
they don't play week 0. Oh, yeah, they do.
Yeah, they do. They got Iowa State in Dublin. That's got to be a weird non-conference game, right? I'd imagine.
Pre-scheduled, yeah. That's interesting. Well, no, I think no, because remember Nebraska Northwestern, wasn't that what it was? And that was I think they counted that as a conference game, if I remember correctly.
Well, wait, actually, you know what? I'm stupid. These 2 teams have been in the conference for a long time, so this was definitely a conference game.
I would not, as much as I would love to go to Dublin, from a football standpoint, I would not want that game.
Against Iowa State, first game of the season?
Yeah, just anything. I don't care who I'm playing. I don't want to play in Dublin in week 0.
Yeah.
If I'm a football coach. Every year we've seen a weird result in that game. And on top of that, you have the jet lag you got to overcome coming back. It's just an awkward setup. So I kind of like that there's 2 Big 12 teams that have to deal with it this year.
Definitely.
Kansas State being the last game of the season. Those last 2 games, man, at home against ASU, on the road to Kansas State. We said this last year, and then Oklahoma State ended up going winless in the conference. I seriously doubt that happens to either of these two teams. Those are going to be very important games to end the season.
Definitely.
My question for you guys, what's the toughest game on the schedule to your first eye?
I mean, I wrote a little bit about that today. I mean, I would say, it'd probably have to be one of those last two games. Obviously, the Georgia Tech, we're all interested to see what they'll look like out the gate here with obviously the new quarterback and a new look. No Travis, no Shedeur. But, BYU, that rematch of the Alamo Bowl is going to be juiced up, too. I know a lot of those guys on the Colorado Buffaloes teams are looking forward to get another chance at them. But, yeah, it would have to be one of those final two games. Arizona State, Kenny Dillingham, that's gonna be a good game. What about you?
I'd probably go at Kansas State, last game of the season.
Yeah.
And it's a combination of a couple things. One, ASU has a good case for this, but it's at home.
True.
So it's not just that you have to go at Kansas State. It's that you have to go at Kansas State at the end of November. It's just going to be miserable. It's going to be miserable there. And that's not fun for anyone. So that sounds really tough to me. You're going to be playing on like a frozen field. Yeah. I would give anything to be able to trade Houston for Kansas State. Give me Houston in the last week of the season and Kansas State in the early season. Yeah.
The Utah game is going to be tough, too. October 25th, the Buffs going to Salt Lake City. One of the toughest places to play on the road. Going to be a completely new team with Dan Pierre at quarterback, new offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
They're going to be much more explosive than they were this last season when they were just struggling to find any offense.
Maybe.
But you're coming off a bye for that game, too, though. So you have time to prepare for it. But going into that environment, can't really prepare for it, I guess. You do have some guys from that team in 23, though, that went in last game of the season and kind of surprised them a bit. Weren't able to get the win. But
I don't think that atmosphere is that crazy.
Salt Lake City?
Yeah.
If the Utes are good in Week 9.
Yeah, it's crazy. I agree with you.
All right.
You don't think so?
I've been there.
247 Sports thinks it's the 11th most intriguing game of the Big 12 season.
Well, I'm not saying the game. I'm just saying the atmosphere. I'm not that impressed with Utah's atmosphere.
They have nothing else to do out there. They love the football games.
They have skiing.
They do have skiing. Yeah.
I'm more impressed with BYU's. Not that we go to BYU this year, but
next year, though.
Yeah. Their setup is just beautiful, too, out there. Like the backdrop of the stadium and whatnot.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. They're all on the same mountain range. All right, let's take our first break. Shout out to Live Well.
Oh, yeah.
Living well, Scotty?
Always, bro. Especially today.
You living a lot better today than yesterday?
Not so much yesterday, but today we are very much living well.
Little Live Well helping you get right after day one?
Yes,
Love
sir.
to hear it. Shout out to our homies at Live Well. Best in the game in terms of the dispensaries back home in the great state of Colorado. They have some of the best staff out there, always super helpful, super knowledgeable, helping you find exactly what you need. Flowers, edibles, concentrates, all that good stuff. Hit them up and use the promo code DNVR25 or mention the promo code DNVR25 when you head in store, and you'll get 25% off one regular priced item. Some restrictions apply. Visit livewell.com. Put in a online pickup order. Makes it super quick and easy. Scan the whole menu, put in your order, and then when you go to pick it up, remember to mention that code DNVR25. Again, to get 25% off one regular price item, some restrictions apply. Shout out to the homies over at LiveWell.
Also, shout out to our friends over at Game Time.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take a peek at the get-in price for this week's Super Bowl. There's certainly a comma in there. But it's just better than you're going to get anywhere else. If you're trying to go and you got a couple bands on you, then you got to go over to our friends over at Game Time. The get-in price right now with all fees, because don't get confused by all these other sites not showing you the fees, but with all fees included, $3,000.
Wow.
And I have a qualm about that. It's not Game Time's fault, but the Super Bowl itself is just becoming very annoying to me in terms of the price.
Yeah.
Like, you're pricing out diehard Eagles fans who, it's probably the cost, damn near the cost of their season tickets.
It's pretty much just become an event for the high class at this point.
Anyways, it's not Game Time's fault.
No, it's not.
Game Time has the best deals on tickets, especially last minute. Hit up our friends over at Game Time. Use that code DNVR. No, use that code Buffs for 20% off your first purchase. $20 off your first purchase. That's Buffs for $20 off your first purchase over at Game Time.
The chat wants more stories from Bourbon Street. We did not go to Bourbon Street yesterday, though.
We did not.
We do have some stories from Media Night, I guess.
We did. We also sent Jake for a reset this morning.
I guess
good idea by you.
It worked.
Yeah.
It worked.
Todd Davis joining the show.
Todd.
What's up, bro?
What's up? How you guys feeling?
Good, man.
Yeah, we good, bro.
Heard you guys talking about Bourbon Street. Is that the plan tonight? What's up?
I mean, Scotty?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
We're back.
We outside
We're
with
back.
it.
Wait,
Come on,
you have a story. You said Scotty was trying to
What?
basically go one-on-one with you on night one, and then it didn't really.
Yeah, he tried to call me out, man. We're at dinner. I'm like, you
This
guys
is
want
true.
shots? And he like, you're not about that life.
This
and
is
I'm
true.
like,
That
all right,
just
let's
didn't happen.
I can assure you that Todd is about that life.
Yeah, those words
next
on
thing
my
I know,
end.
we're walking home. I hear, behind me.
I'm dead. Yeah, bro. Well, those words did not age well that night. Fool. I don't know what I was
Scotty or
up.
Glorilla?
Yeah.
Man, you were on the coaching staff, or
I
getting
see
ready
you.
to join the coaching staff this time last year.
Yeah. Right around this time. Yeah, it was awesome, man. I had a great time up there. I wish I could have stayed longer, but ultimately I did have a great time at CU.
It was funny because around that time, people were watching like Bucky's videos, the well-off videos, and we'd always get the comments like, "Was that Todd?" And, like, we didn't know what to say at that point, so we just never talked about it. But yeah,
Yeah. I was there. I had my coaching hat on, had my script in my back pocket, trying to look like a coach as much as I could. But, yeah, it was great.
How did that come about, and, just what was your role, and how did that go?
So I was there for spring. Potentially could have stayed a little bit longer. I was there primarily because of my agent, Nicole Lynn, and also her husband, Gabe Lynn, who was on staff up there, and they brought me in to help with the linebackers. It was great. Loved the defense. Rob Livingston, they ran the same defense that I ran in Denver with Vance Joseph. There's a little coaching connection there because they were together in Cincinnati. So I walked in day one. I knew the whole defense, so it was really easy to talk to the young guys about it and help coach them up. And ultimately, it lasted the spring, but it was great.
What was it like working with Coach Rob and kind of hearing him kind of teach the defense, the same defense that you obviously played in under Vance Joseph, but kind of hearing him kind of teach it and coach it through his kind of lens?
It was cool because, a lot of the verbiage was the same, so
Yeah.
I knew exactly what he was talking about, and I knew the message that he was trying to relate to the kids. And when you talk about that defense, for me, it was my favorite because it's very linebacker friendly. Like, we're playing a lot of cover three. We're dropping in the zone. We're making a lot of tackles. We're blitzing a lot, as you guys saw throughout the year. They blitzed a lot of linebackers. So I loved it, and I was just trying to, relate to the guys. I really felt like the team was going to be as good as the linebackers were. They had invested a lot in the D-line. They went out and found a lot of talent. We knew what we had on the back end with Sanders and the other safety. So it was like, you had Travis on the outside playing corner. So it was like, if the linebackers can ball, it really feels like this defense can be legit. So, I felt like they played pretty well the entire year. They had some hiccup games, of course, but for the most part, defense ended up being really stronger than it was last year.
Yep.
One of the things that Coach Prime really tried to make a part of what they were doing last year, and really just for this program moving forward, was to build like a pro atmosphere. And kind of hold these guys to pro standards, bringing around pro coaches. When you were there, did you get that feeling from what they were doing?
There's so many pros in the building, man. It really feels like a pro vibe. Not only pros, but just championship caliber coaches and players. I mean, you talk about Sapp coming in, D-line coach is a pro as well. So many pros in there. I don't think I had been around so many pros. Even when I went to the Broncos, there's not that many people who play and then want to go back and be a coach. Feels like Deion's finding all the guys who had any interest in coaching after they were done playing. I mean, Marshall Faulk is coming, right, this year?
Maybe.
Supposed to come. Ocho Cinco rumors like crazy.
Coach Ocinco.
So I think he's finding anybody who wants to coach and has played at a high level. They're finding well on that coaching staff because you understand who he is, the message that he has for the kids, and the potential that, they can be really successful if they get the right guys in the room.
I mean, going against Shedeur at practice, what were you telling those guys who were on the field, trying to stop what he was doing? I mean, we know what he is. So what was that like?
Well, you can't stop it. You just got to do your best to kind of contain it. He's one of those guys. I thought he was really talented. And, Pat Shurmur was my OC when I was here at the Broncos for a few years. And I love that Shedeur learning his offense, he never flinched. That's the greatest thing. That's a pro-style offense.
Yeah.
It's not easy to learn. There's a lot of checks, a lot of plays, and I felt like watching him at practice, he never flinched. There really wasn't a lot of plays where you, got to re-break the huddle, got to say it again, got to make sure he understands the verbiage. He was a professional the entire time I was there, and that's what I was most impressed with. That's why he's my favorite quarterback coming out of this draft. He's very talented, but I think the mental aspect and the mental side of it, he's a smart quarterback, and I think that's going to translate faster for him than anybody else in the draft.
Definitely. You got to spend, obviously, a good amount of time with some of these linebackers who will be back for Colorado here in 2025. Jeremiah Brown being one of them, Jalen Wester as well.
Yeah.
What do you see maybe out of those two guys in particular and kind of that group, maybe how they grow and might look out here on the field in 2025?
I thought both those guys were really talented. I think JB definitely has the ability to play inside linebacker. He's strong. He's physical. He's the guy that you can blitz all day. He played on the edge. He's been very successful there. So line him up as your Mike linebacker and send blitzes. 9 out of 10 times, I think he's going to be able to beat not only running backs but also offensive guard every now and then. Wester, I think he was, has the most promise. He's one of the guys to where he's athletic, he's fast. If he can just slow down and understand what he's seeing and then go, oh, my gosh, I think he can be a really good player. So I'm hopeful for those guys. And I think there was just talented guys in that room all the way around. Guys had to find out where they fit, in the linebacker room, but they have more talent than people think.
I feel like you and JB would get along well.
Yeah, I like him a lot. I actually still talk to him. I talked to him maybe a month ago. Talked to a couple guys. Talked to Bent not too long ago.
Yep.
I know he's not going to be there. He was about almost 30 years old.
Yeah. That's OG for real.
He was almost 30 when I got there.
I like this comment from the girls' club. It said, "My God, that ring is huge."
Hey, show it
A little
off.
shine on it,
Yeah.
It's Super Bowl week. Why not bring it out?
Yes, sir.
I'm
You know what
about the
saying?
other one because Allie's like, "What do you want for your wedding band?" I'm like, "Look at what Todd's got. That's what I want."
Allie, you got to put some shine on it. You know what I'm saying? That would be fresh.
Obviously you were there last year, but when you saw what you saw on the field, losing Travis, losing Shedeur, we have a quarterback competition this year. There's a lot of unknowns for this year, but with Rob Livingston, the defense kind of being still in place, it seems like this is going to be, we were just talking about the schedule release. Like early on, it's 7 straight weeks of games. So the defense is going to have to carry them. Who did you see as I know you probably don't know off the top of your head, but returning leaders that stood out to you? I know you mentioned Jay West, JB, but was there anyone like DJ McKinney? Did you see something from him or anyone on the line?
I really felt like JB was the guy for me just because he had been in college for a while. He was a talented player, and he's just everything you want is somebody when you're lead by example.
Yeah.
He's going to be the hardest working player at practice every day. He's going to do everything he can in the weight room. He's going to be there before everybody. He was one of those hardworking guys that you kind of always want to have on your team and have guys follow behind. So for me, that would probably be – I know it's going to be a tough road, filling in some of these pieces. We're talking about generational players now that we got to try and, find new guys to fill those roles. But I think they're going to do a good job of it, especially on defense. I always feel like the second year under a defensive coordinator is usually better than the first. And so they'll have – the guys that are returning will have another year with Rob, understand his coaching, his verbiage, how he wants to play things, what he's thinking on 3rd and 10 versus 3rd and 5. So they have a better understanding for things going into that second year. So I think it's going to be good for him. I think it's going to be a little bit of a learning curve, not having Shedeur and Travis. But ultimately, I think they're going to do well.
You were around a lot of incredible athletes in the National Football League. You ever seen anything like Travis Hunter?
Not at all. Not at all. Takes every play in games and in practice. Unbelievably talented. I think he's a freak athlete. For me, he is the best DB in college I've seen, live. Pat Surtain, I saw him in the process, a little bit different. But just the way he can track the football, and that's why I feel like a lot of people feel like he may be a better DB than a wide receiver, because wide receivers – the ball is supposed to go to you.
Right.
But him being a DB and having the understanding to track the football, any ball that's in the air is potentially a pick. Yep. So I think he's very talented, and he could do it all, man. There's nobody that could cover him when he was playing wide receiver, and there's nobody that he couldn't cover when he was playing DB.
You mentioned all the NFL guys in that building there in Boulder. How cool is it from your vantage point to kind of see how Damian Lewis and Coach Sapp were kind of able to work together on the defensive line unit? Obviously, defensive line and linebacker, those units are kind of tied together. How cool is it kind of see those two kind of work together and get really the most out of that defensive line that helped lead the Big 12 in sacks?
Man, I think that's really important because you talk about, great guys that have played at a high level, whether it was in college or at the U, like just very successful coaches. There's a lot of ego. When you get to a certain level, like it comes with that, I got to be a boss, I'm a dog. Like there's a lot of egos in that room. And the fact that they didn't let that affect them or the kids and were able to come together and put the best product forward for the university, I thought that was tremendous. Like, when I first got there, I was nervous because you got a D-line coach that you're bringing in, a Hall of Famer. Like, how is this going to work? But they were able to work together, and it was never any issues there, and they just always wanted the best for the kids, and everything was about how can we work things out to talk to the kids, to help them to understand, to be the best. And I thought it was phenomenal.
Love it.
Last one I have is just Coach Hart. Working with him in his room. What did you think of him? What did you learn from him? How was that?
I liked Coach Hart, man. We still talk. He actually came up to the Broncos. Well, the whole CU staff came into the Broncos when I was there, so that was awesome. I think he's a great guy, man. And I think that he's able to connect with the kids very well on a personal level. You know, some coaches are X and O's, some coaches are personal, and I think he's one of those guys to where he's going to know the kids, he's going to know what they're going through at home. He's going to know what their mom and their dad are going through. Like, he's very, very personable. And I think it works really well with Deion and, what his whole message is. I think Deion is all about just not winning football games, but, changing kids' lives, making them into men. And, having that understanding, having that open line of communication is very important.
Where are we going out tonight, bro?
Everywhere. Wherever is open, we will be there.
Yeah.
He's
back.
good today.
Yeah. Let's turn it up. One time for CU.
All right. Appreciate you, Todd.
Appreciate you,
guys,
Todd.
man.
Thanks, Todd.
Have a good one.
Yes,
We'll
sir,
see you in a
Steve.
bit. All right. We got one more break and one more interview.
That was great, by the way.
Todd's the man, bro.
Yeah,
Shout
he
out
is.
Todd, man.
He is.
Shout out to are we good? Tell the people about your Toyota, bro.
Man, miss it. There's a sick Toyota over here, and I really want to try that because I've seen the 4Runner, and I've been on that 4Runner kind of vibe for a while. I need that 4Runner, but I'm pretty sure it's the Land Cruiser over there, and that thing has like a different kind of swag to it. It might be turning me. I might be changing my
Turning your
mind
back
on my next Toyota. I wish I could say I'll just get both, but I don't have it like that. Anyways, if you're looking for the 4Runner, the Land Cruiser, or any other Toyota like the RAV4 that I have, visit Front Range Toyota stores at a location near you, including AutoNation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corwin Toyota and Boulder, Groove Toyota and Littleton, Mountain States Toyota and Denver, Stevenson Toyota, Eastern Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Toyota is a proud partner of CU Athletics and the official vehicle of DNVR. Toyota, let's go places.
Also, shout out to the homies at Coors Light.
Coors Light.
I'm sorry. I said that wrong.
Coors Light.
Coors Light.
Nice.
Oh, boy. The Coors Light is going to be flowing tonight, boys.
Yeah, it is.
We have we'll get to stories from last night. There's actually not much to talk about from yesterday. It was an interesting day, but tonight's going to be a fun one. We got the media party.
Yep.
We have like the best location out here we could have possibly asked for, so we're going to have some fun.
Yeah, we lucked into the greatest Airbnb setup
For real.
we
Yeah.
could have ever had.
Shout out
Shout out
Allie.
Allie, for real.
Yep.
Oh, funny how she doesn't hear that.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks, Allie.
You start
Thank
talking
you.
shit, and she'll hear you for sure. But
Thank you.
you
Good
say
job.
something nice. She
That's
tunes it right
selective
out.
hearing.
We were just saying that you hooked it up with the Airbnb setup.
For real.
Choose Coors Light. Get it wherever you can get beer, really. You can get it delivered straight to your door with our friends over at Instacart. Go to CoorsLight.com/DNVR and celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
Colorado.
Chris Sims or Stories and Coach Gunner?
Let's do Chris Sims here.
Okay. Do you want to lead it in?
Yeah. He comes in hot.
Yeah, he does.
Does he?
Because we've kind of just like built a friendship with Chris Sims, only running into him at Super Bowl Media Row is what they're calling it now.
Ooh.
We changed the game. They saw us popping out every year here, and they're like, they're not on the radio. We got to change this to Media Row.
Is it going to be YouTube Row eventually then?
Maybe. Anyways, we've built a good relationship with Chris, and so we got his takes on Shedeur, Travis, and a couple other things. So let's dive in.
How's it going?
What's up, man?
I'm
Chris.
Scott Procter.
How
Nice
you
to
doing,
meet you.
man? Nice to meet
I'm
you.
doing well.
You doing all right?
Yes, sir.
What's up,
boy.
We're off to a hot start.
We do it right here, just stand up?
Yeah, we'll just
all right,
stand.
cool.
All right, we're here with our guy, Chris Sims.
How's my hair? Because I just wear a headset. Did it get messed up on there?
Yeah, it's looking really flat.
All right, good. It's a little flat?
Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's our guy in Colorado.
Yeah.
Chance to go really high in this draft. What do you see from him, and what do you like about his game heading into the NFL?
Right. Well, as you know, right, and I usually end up like kind of seeing you at the Combine too or somewhere there. Like that's around the time I'm really going to dive in like film study on Shedeur, right? I haven't done that, but I watched enough on TV. Like I like Shedeur a lot. Now, he's old school. Right, the thing that I was saying, who he reminds me of is Doug Williams back in the old days of Washington. Right, he big quarterback, stand in the pocket, strong arm, doesn't flinch when people are about to hit him. He's not afraid of that aspect. He's not really a runner, which I still am think is crazy because Deion's the fastest human I ever saw on the field in my life, and his son's not all that fast. But as far as the throwing, the accuracy, the power in his arm, man, they're all really intriguing to me.
On to the 2024 Heisman Trophy winner, Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
How do you kind of see his kind of future in the NFL, at least starting out, in terms of maybe the two-way ability? How would you kind of utilize it?
I think you start with one, and not that you go all eggs in that basket, but I think it's going to be DB like 90% of the time, and then you start off with like, hey, let's teach him this one receiver position, and just like 5-6 plays that he's just got to learn, right? So we can just start getting him used to hearing the play in the huddle a little bit and understanding like some of the rules and the nuances of the plays and all that, and then you can slowly grow it from there. I think that's how it'll start out, but like as a rookie and as you guys know in the NFL, there's a lot on your plate. Like defense, even though Colorado was really good, he's going to go to an NFL defense and be like, whoa, there's way more rules and things I got to think about, and damn, the receivers are way better, right? And he'll have his hands full just learning that at first. Right.
With Shedeur, you kind of mentioned that old school thing.
Yeah.
Do you think that they're, especially in this age of like Anthony Richardson and, Jalen Miller, all these guys who are just like crazy athletes,
Right.
Do you think there's also a place where like an NFL GM is just going to fall in love with seeing that kind of like true pocket passer style?
Yeah, I do. I like a quarterback that can move and run. I understand that. The name of the game is still making throws in the pocket. It's still the name of the game. I mean, you look at the best teams, you look at the guy that's wearing red and 15 up here, right? Yeah, he makes a few plays with his legs every game, I get that, but he's still surgically destroying you with his arm and his decisions in the pocket. So, yes, that's where it is to be one. I think there is the athletic quarterback and the running quarterback in a lot of ways, yes, I think is going to fall off a degree in the NFL, because I think, yes, to like your point, teams are going to look at it and go, hey, yeah, we love a quarterback that can move and all that, but we want to be able to run a full variety of offense and do everything and not just always be pigeonholed to, wow, he runs really well, but he doesn't throw it that great. We don't want to put too much on his plate that way. To me, there's just not enough ways to win that way. We saw Lamar Jackson, the greatest running quarterback ever, come into the league with an offense we never saw before, and they couldn't get to the Super Bowl that way. Now he's playing in the pocket more, and they're closer, and they probably should be here, but they're not, but he'll get here eventually.
We all know how important fit is for quarterbacks at the next level, at the NFL level. What do you kind of see as, whether it be coaching staff, personnel around Shedeur, that you think is a spot that he would really thrive in at the NFL?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, he's like, the spots, talent, of course, is always going to help out. Offensive coordinator's huge, though. I mean, that's really the name of the game. You got to have a guy that's going to be able to create enough plays, open receivers, have an offense that'll allow you to show your talents, right? Like I always say, like, look, let's talk about Sam Darnold or Baker Mayfield. When you're around, you're going to start to smell like and it's going to get on you a little bit, and you're going to look shitty. That's just the way it's going to be, right? Oh, now they get with a better team, and it's like, oh, look, they're good. Let's pay them $35 million a year, $40 million a year. And it's they were never not good. They just didn't have enough help around them with coaches and players. So, the offensive coordinator is huge. And I need a list in front of me in the top 10 or 15 to kind of look at it to go like, ooh, that makes sense. But that is, of course, a huge part of your success. Like, look at Caleb Williams in Detroit, in Chicago. He's still awesome. He did a lot of good things. But as you guys know, their offense was less than, and he looked like he struggled at times too because of that.
looking at that, though, I mean, at the top of the draft, you have, Brian Callahan.
Yeah.
You have Kevin Stefanski.
Right.
You have Brian Dable.
Yeah. I mean, he's going to fit any of those, okay? He's going to fit those offenses because he's a good decision maker and he's an accurate thrower of the football. Am I wowed by those offenses? No, I'm not. That's
why they're
right?
there.
Well, exactly right. That's part of the reason why they're there. They have good offenses, but they're, to me, like just good, like kind of, I don't want to say simple, but just good by the book kind of West Coasty type offenses. That's what they are. And to me, the really good offenses in football right now have more to offer than just, we're a West Coast or we do this. Whether you go to Ben Johnson or McVay and Shanahan, right, those type of players, McDaniels down in Miami. Yeah, they're West Coast based, but they have a lot of other avenues and other people they've learned to add that to the offense. And that's, what makes them great. And those are some of the things I don't love about those other two.
On that same line, why is it that there's only 4 or 5 guys who are truly innovating?
Yeah, people ask me a lot. They go, "Is there a quarterback problem in the NFL?" I go, "No, there's an offensive coordinator problem because we recycle guys where we go, wait, that stunk there, but we're going to rehire him here to do the same job." I don't understand that. I think there's a little bit of lack of different ideas out there. I think one of the things that makes Ben Johnson, Kevin O'Connell, Shanahan, McVay, Josh McDaniels in New England, Mike McDaniel in Miami, they're not afraid to try things. Sean Payton, that to me is the biggest thing. I came around coaches, the ones that I were really conservative and I was like, can we do more? They were always like, I never had anybody teach me that. I never, show me a bunch of film and show me and teach me that. Yet, when I was around other creative coaches, they were just like, hey, let's just try this. I got an idea. I'll kind of coach it on the fly. Let's run it for a few weeks in practice and maybe we'll break it out in a game here in the next few weeks, right? And that to me is the difference between the good ones and the bad ones. Is this, the good ones have no fear and they have confidence in what they're coaching and being able to throw it out on film.
All right, well, I feel like we're starting to smell like shit.
Wait, so you're saying I'm
Yeah.
Fuck you, I'm not coming on next year now.
Appreciate you, Chris.
Anytime.
That was dope.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fun to just talk to different people around here who especially cover the league, get their perspectives on this type of stuff and, get a full spectrum of it all.
Did he give you, he's going to give Shedeur QB1 vibes in his rankings this year?
I mean, it's hard to say. I actually meant to ask about Cam Ward and just forgot about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's a good chance. Yeah. And I think that as these people start to truly watch Shedeur, they're going to learn the things that he just mentioned about his toughness in the pocket, his ability to stand in there. You turn on the Shedeur tape, the second touchdown pass you're going to see him throw is to Jimmy Horn against North Dakota State, where he absolutely gets clobbered in the pocket, and he knows that's happening.
Yep.
He's just like, I got to wait for Jimmy to get out of this break so he can get between the Tampa two.
Yep.
And he absolutely delivers a missile on the mark. And, those things are just, I feel like, becoming more and more rare as you scout quarterbacks.
For sure.
There's such a proclivity for breaking the pocket, running, and making a big play, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
But the greatest of all time were doing that.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of teams, players, coaches, evaluators are going to fall in love with that part of Shedeur.
That was a great question you had, though. It's all about, there's a lot of infatuation with the athletes, the traits quarterbacks, right?
Yep.
And there is still value in the guy who just knows where the open receiver is going to be and hitting the open spot and hitting them accurately so the receiver can make plays after the catch. It's not, I don't say it's becoming a lost art because you still have guys Mahomes does it, Joe Burrow does it, but in the draft, a lot of people like to fall in love with the guys, like you said, like Jalen Milroe, Cam Ward, because of his mobility and stuff like that.
Well, and there's something to that, right?
For sure there is.
You watch these guys, and a lot of them survive their first couple years in the league just by their athleticism. And so there's more pressure on a guy like Shedeur to go in and make those passes early in his career and deliver on time and all of that good stuff. But as many Josh Allens as there are, there's a failed version of that where they're not able to put it all together. And I don't know. I think we might. He kind of alluded to it, but I think we might. The scale is going to start tipping back the other way.
Yep.
Definitely.
Speaking of guys who can sling it, Michael Penix over there.
Oh, he is.
Do-rag up. That's Justin Jefferson next to him.
That is Justin Jefferson.
That's crazy. But, yeah, and just listening to Chris, too, just when he was talking about fit, like, just how important that is. And it made me think about, too, when we were talking to Solomon Wilcox yesterday, and he was like, it's not about when you get drafted, it's about where you get drafted. And I just feel like if Shedeur lands in the spot with a really good offensive coordinator, a really good play call, a really good head coach, it's going to be scary in a good way. And I think there are a couple good play callers in that top 6 range that he could fall into. And that's really what it's going to come down to. If you can pair him up with a really good offensive kind of mastermind, somebody who can, play to his strengths, play to Shedeur's strengths, which he has a lot of, I feel like it can get really scary and he can immediately hop into the NFL and have success as a rookie.
That's why I think he will have success as a rookie. He's good at that stuff.
Yeah.
We got a new offensive line coach. It's Gunnar White.
Congrats.
Congrats, Gunnar.
Gunnar getting promoted after being a grad assistant No,
I think
just assistant coach?
Yeah.
Just assistant coach the last couple of years.
Analyst, maybe.
He said he was a GA. He was a GA.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's been with Coach Prime for a minute. He was at Nevada. That's really where he got his first big coaching break. He was bouncing around a few community colleges, small-time colleges, after his playing career in the early 2010s. But he's been with Coach Prime since, I think, at least 22. I think when he got to Jackson, Gunnar was there. So continuity, of course. And I truly think Coach believes in Gunnar White to not only for this position, but to be a legitimate coach at higher levels and just better positions down the line.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you talk to someone in the building, especially about offensive line over the last couple of years, they're going to mention Gunnar's name. He is a guy who was very, very respected by the other people in the building, whether that's players or coaches. And I just sometimes it's so funny because Coach Prime can go out and bring Warren Sapp onto the staff in like a low role, and everyone's so excited, and for good reason. It's Warren Sapp.
Right.
But Warren Sapp had never coached. And there's a trust there, right? Because they're like, oh, Coach Prime wants Warren Sapp there, then I trust him. Yet when Coach Prime has been with a guy for several years and decides, I want to promote him, people are like, it's not a big enough name for me. And honestly, the same exact thing happened last year with Vincent Dancy.
And Rob Livingston, when we were literally here.
Well, yes, but Dancy is a more of a Gunnar White example of he was around him. Who's he going to get for this outside linebackers coach? He decides to promote Dancy into that position, and people had kind of a same attitude towards it, and then those guys balled out. And then when Dancy left, everyone, we're losing Dancy. What's going on here?
Exactly.
And so, to me, this is a shot calling by Coach Prime, but it's an educated shot calling because he's been around Gunnar for a long time, and I would not be surprised to see Gunnar rise up quickly and kind of become a rising star at that offensive line coach position.
Yeah, 2 words you guys use: trust, continuity. 2 words I love, and they're obviously evident in this move. I mean, you don't go from a GA assistant, pretty much a volunteer, to a quality control coach, to a whole position coach without, the head man in charge being, fully, having full trust in you. And again, Gunnar is a Jackson State grad, you know what I'm saying? So he is going to have the ear of that team. He's going to be able to relate to that offensive line unit, if you know what I mean. And again, it just comes back to continuity. Gunnar knows these guys, you know what I'm saying? He knows what buttons to press, how to push these guys moving forward. And again, we talked about this there's a lot of continuity on this coaching staff. From a successful 2024 season, there were some losses, obviously Lord Holt and Coach Dancy as well, but there's a lot of continuity on this coaching staff, and that's something that you just love to see. And obviously, Uncle Neely had a one-on-one with Gunnar here. I believe he posted that today on his YouTube channel on the Pregame Network. Tyler Brown, Rock, who was at Jackson State with Gunnar, told Uncle Neely that Gunnar's age is also going to be an asset just in terms of him being able to relate to the players as well. So, and also, too, and you guys kind of alluded to it with, kind of Dancy and Robert Livingston as well, Coach Prime has earned the benefit of the doubt when making these coaching decisions. Y'all should really, they can prove that he don't know what he's doing, and obviously he has proven that time and time again. So I do really like this hire, of Gunnar White again, mostly because of continuity, and we'll see what ends up. And obviously George Hegeman will still be involved. He talked about that as well. This is Gunnar's offensive line group now, but George Hegeman is still definitely be involved, and that collaboration, I assume, will go similarly to how the Warren Sapp and Damian Lewis kind of connection kind of worked on the defensive line.
Yeah, so a little change in role for George, who was a director of leadership and community engagement or something like that. He'll be working. He did do stuff and to help out the O-line and meetings and all that, but he'll be more involved in the coaching on the field aspect. So
I'm excited for Gunnar, man. In the interactions we've had with him, just a top guy, and has a real just passion for the game that just exudes off of him when you talk to him. Loves the players, loves the sport, loves offense, loves offensive line. I mean, it's just one of those guys that, when you go through this routine every single day of practice, treatment, whatever, meetings, you throw in all that stuff, you just need people that bring energy.
Definitely.
And he's one of those guys.
And I think this offense, similar to how we were talking about, this might be a defensive kind of identity team early on in the season. Offensively, ideally, this is an offense that's led by its offensive line that is one of the strongest units on this offensive line. And I think Gunnar, again, listening to his conversation with Uncle Neely, understands that this is a different era that this team, this program is heading to, where you're not going to have the top quarterback in the draft at center. You're not going to have a Heisman Trophy winner to bail you out at receiver. So this is going to have to be a team that relies on its offensive line, relies on its running game. And that identity, started by Jordan Seaton on the left side, is going to have to, kind of permeate throughout that entire offensive line, even some of the reserves, some of the depth pieces. And I think, again, Gunnar understands that, and I think he's going to do a really good job of kind of instilling that belief and that identity in his unit.
And he's already been out recruiting. We've been talking a lot about this 2026 class already, and he's been one of the guys out there visiting kids. Coach Prime, the in-home visit thing is always talked about, right? And he does it differently, but he obviously trusts Gunnar enough to go meet these kids, to go recruit them directly, from their high schools, meet their high school coaches, kind of build those connections in those potential pipeline states that we've talked so much about, Florida, Georgia, Texas. So it's clear he has the trust of Coach and everyone else in the building. So I'd recommend showing him a little bit of trust too.
Amen.
Well, I think that's about it.
Cool.
Last night at Media Night, thoughts?
I've been giving so much credit to New Orleans for the organization of this, and from a Radio Row perspective, media entrance, all that, it's been great.
Yeah.
But
last night was a disaster.
It was rough.
It was an abject disaster. I can't put it any other way.
We should have known when we found out media workroom was in the garage.
In the garage, yes. And that's
parking garage.
I don't care. I don't care.
I mean, yeah, whatever.
It was like a potential red flag.
Yes.
The dinner was also a potential red flag.
Big time.
We should have known at that point.
You got some good interaction on that on Twitter. Aesthetically, was actually worse than it tasted.
Yes.
It looks so bad. But that's not it has anything to do with what I'm talking about. I talked to someone there who said they wanted to protect the playing surface.
Right.
So last year in Las Vegas, they had, a pretty tight circle of the podiums, and we had the whole football field to operate.
Yeah, it was almost like it was just on the hashes. So we had all that room from out.
This year, each podium was outside of the white lines, which meant we only had the sideline to get, 2,000 media? How many do you think?
Probably a couple thousand at least,
Yeah,
yeah.
all right.
But it wasn't even as packed as last year.
Well, think about how packed the sideline looks on a football Sunday.
Right.
And then try to imagine every media member at the Super Bowl trying to get through that area to try and move around. So that was tough. It made it harder for us to get anything, but I think we were able to get some fun content out of it.
We did. You'll see it eventually, but it was different. That's what I'm learning is that the Super Bowls are really different based on where they are. And
yeah, I'm excited for tonight, though.
Should be fun.
Media party at Mardi Gras World.
Oh, yeah. You ever been?
No.
All right.
About to get real New Orleans-y in here.
Love that.
Are you ready, Scotty?
Yes. Absolutely.
I hope so, man.
Super locked in.
I need a bounce back night from
You know who
bro.
else? I got you, big dog. You know who also been bringing the juice the last couple of days, just out here in New Orleans, just in general. I just randomly thought about bro right now because we saw him last night. Jameis. Jameis been outside, man,
He's been
working, crushing it, bro. Every time I see him, bro, it's always good vibes, and he be having me rolling. Love Jameis.
A lot of times people talk about guys, and they're like, that guy's going to be great, broadcaster later. But he's, like, beyond that to me. Like, he's on, like, Pat McAfee level.
Like,
of,
superstar
It's his
potential.
own thing. Like, don't just put him in a booth.
No, he could be up there with, like, Jason and Travis as, like, the top podcast in the sports world.
Yes, that's what I need from Jameis.
Yeah, for sure.
What a character.
We'll see what happens tonight. I'm sure we'll have a story for y'all tomorrow. People have been asking about the jacket. The jacket will make a return.
The jacket will
Don't
be
worry.
back. We have
a great plan.
plans.
Big, huge plans.
Yes.
Stay tuned.
Oh, man. We need that badly.
Let's go to the chat, the Toyota chat, Alyssa.
Chatski.
Yes.
New guest on the show. Alyssa.
FDP joining the show.
Okay, first question here from 5280 Ivan says, extremely early prediction based on the Buffs' release schedule. Will the Buffs get over the 6-week win? Will the Buffs get over the 6-week win mark and go bowling?
In that stretch in between the bye weeks, that 3-game stretch, that's when they will get win number 6 and clinch bowl eligibility.
1-0, 2-0, 3-0, 4-0, 5-0, 6-0. Give me October 4th at TCU.
Yeah, we'll do it before the first bye week.
Okay.
Next one. Eric wants to know, Jake Scott and RK, is the Buffs coming back for the 2025 season? And what road trip are you looking forward to the most? I get the feeling you three will have a good time in Morgantown.
Bro,
Morgantown
Morgantown's
is
not ready for
crazy.
us, bro.
The bus might be coming back. Stay tuned.
The bus is coming back.
Okay, thank
I'm
you.
excited to go to Houston. I ain't gonna lie. That's one of my favorite destinations.
I'm ready to go back to TCU, brother.
Bro, all I'm saying is, bro, Fort Worth better be the most cracking environment I've ever been in, based on how y'all have described it over the
you
last
gotta understand,
2
bro. We were
years.
part of the filming of a movie there.
It was unreal,
Fair enough.
dude.
Fair enough.
But honestly, the atmosphere around the stadium was pretty elite.
It was.
I believe it.
And I hope that it wasn't just because it was the first Coach Prime game. I hope they bring it like that for this year, too.
No, they will. I mean, they'll bring it, and then obviously we're just outside of Dallas, which is maybe the #1 hub of Coach Prime supporters.
Definitely.
And recruits.
Exactly. I'm excited for Morgantown. I'm excited for Fort Worth. I'm excited for Houston.
Salt Lake City?
Salt Lake City, bro?
I'm not excited at all for Salt Lake City. Let me
Come
make that
on.
very clear.
I'm excited
There
for
are
Salt Lake City.
few places that I would rather go less that have a college football team.
Nah, shout out to the fam. I'm coming home. I'll see y'all in a bit.
Sorry, Jake's family. Bro, you and RC talking about cities in Texas yesterday had me rolling.
Bro, he is something else, bro. That guy be having me dead, bro. Bro is afraid of Houston, but loves Austin.
Yeah, bro, I'm
loves Lubbock.
I'm like, do you
Lubbock actually
hear
good.
yourself right now?
This is ridiculous.
That was good stuff.
Hell yeah.
Shout out RC.
Little Bucket wants to know, y'all feel like another running back is good to get in the spring?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really like Micah and Isaiah, though.
And I think they clearly do, too. It was not a priority in the portal unless it was, kind of one of those really top guys.
And again, the Draylon factor. How much wide back role is he going to play? How much is Cam going to play in that role potentially? Maybe even, Quentin Gibson coming out of the backfield. Adrian Wilson. Like, they've got options.
It wouldn't surprise me if they dipped their toe into the portal for a running
They
back
could.
potentially in the spring. But, again, it wouldn't surprise me either way. And I do think that this running back room, as currently constructed, is more than good enough for sure.
I mean, no one entered the portal. It sounds like these guys
Right.
all want to stay here, though.
Yeah.
So,
and that seems like you would think that those are conversations that have been communicated in terms of like, look, we believe in this room.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's good to know.
By the way, speaking of the bus, ESPN Radio has a setup over here that's like kind of like made to look like a Winnebago.
It is.
Yeah.
Or what is that? What those are called? The like silver ones
Yeah, you're right.
or Silver Stream?
Oh.
I don't know. Jets. No, anyways,
Who knows?
that just got me dreaming about us just driving the bus into Radio Row. Like, we just roll that thing right in here and just have people pull up.
Yes, bro. I already saw, bro.
Reef is out of pocket again, bro.
Ken first goes. Scott knows exactly why he want to go to Houston. Tell me why, Ken. Tell me why I want to go to Houston. And then Reef, Reef going to cut up every opportunity he get.
This is exactly why RC's not ready for it.
Tell us Scott going to Houston to go tell a lady on the pole, baby, I can change your life. You don't have to do this. I'm dead. Holy shit.
Oh, Reef, you're killing me.
What was I just going to say? Did you guys catch that the bus had a cameo in the Prime Doc?
Nah.
No.
Episode 2 or 3. Well, the UCF episode. So I don't know if that's 2 or 3. Probably 3.
Okay.
I missed that.
There's a quick cut shot. You probably just didn't catch it because it's just a bus driving straight like up the hotel. Mm-hmm. But it's not the team bus. It's our bus.
Really?
Dope.
Yeah.
Damn.
And it just has the "We Comin'" on it.
Hell yeah, man. What a trip. That wasn't
a
I know
trip.
you missed that one, bro, but
know.
my God, after all we went through in that trip to get that game, that was very rewarding.
Yes, that is. All the perseverance of getting down there was worth it
Yes.
for you guys.
Yes.
Jay wants to know, have you been throwing or receiving beads? What's your yak and your QBR?
I wish we could show the RC picture, bro.
Oh, man.
Also, where is RC?
Last I saw him, he was
went-
upstairs.
Hopefully
He
left
went to
within
the
the
workroom
show.
a while
He's not
ago.
even here to defend himself.
He's probably listening.
He at one point he's standing on the balcony. This girl makes eye contact with him. She's like, "You got any beads?" And I've never seen a man just look more sad that he didn't have beads.
No way, dog.
Bro's had beads in his pocket ever since.
He's ready.
He's not gonna miss another op.
That's hilarious.
Jesse wants to know, is Gunner known to be a good online coach? Will the Buffs develop a run game this year?
We can only hope.
They are going to put a lot of thought and resources into making sure that they have a run game this year. So I am confident that they will.
Gunner's been a coach for a while, though, man. I think he graduated high school in 2009, bounced around a few community colleges, and transferred to Texas Tech to finish his career. I don't know how much he played, but basically after that, he's been coaching. Like, he's a coach.
Couldn't be a better place for a guy named Gunner to play than Texas Tech.
For real. Hey, y'all know he a black belt in Taekwondo too, right?
Yeah. I think Neely told us that.
He is.
I gotta see that.
Don't
I
play
gotta
with
see
him.
that in action.
Right.
I want to see a roundhouse.
Super chat from East Coast Kev says, so the
Lord.
nerds at On3 ranked Coach Clan Lanning, the third best coach in CFB ahead of Coach Prime, even Marcus Freeman. What program did he build? Prime had to raise CU from the depths of hell. Disgusting.
I do think top 3 is kind of rich.
But, Kev, they put Coach Prime at 7.
Honestly,
That's pretty
out
good.
of what?
25. The top 25 coaches in 2025.
Yeah, I don't
Okay.
know why Dan's top 3 though.
Yeah, I mean, Dan Lanning gets a lot of credit for he wasn't even born on third base. He was born on third base with a lead.
I swear.
So, I don't know. They just love him. Whatever.
Quite a few Big 12 coaches in here, though.
Big 12 is a great football conference. People are eventually going to become hip to that.
At some point, you would think. They've got 25 Matt Campbell, 24 Kalani Sataki.
Damn, that's like 5 Big 12 coaches then.
Sataki,
telling you,
way
bro.
too low. Sataki, way too low.
Leopold at 14, Dillingham at 13. And
Dillingham too low as well.
Whittingham at 8, Coach Prime at 7. They're saying Coach Prime is the best coach in the Big 12, basically, right here.
All right.
Hey, Reef, I'm definitely going to have the belly intro playing in my AirPods when I walk in the club, for sure. Blue lights and all.
Another super chat from East Coast Kev says, I watched the DNVR videos you made when Prime first got to see you. It was only
Lord.
yesterday. Thank you for all the coverage, and don't tell Alyssa I crashed out today. I won't tell anyone.
Thank you for rolling with us, man.
It feels like 10 years and yesterday at the same time when that happened, honestly.
It does. It's more like 10 years for me.
It really does, yes.
Yeah.
The jacket's such a hit. Everyone's loving it, Jakey
Yeah.
Poo.
Facts.
They will not be disappointed. The jacket will be back.
They will
It's
see it
why
again.
it's why Jake accepted his fate as having to wear the jackets because he knew it would be good content.
Yeah, I mean,
What's the competition for it tonight?
There's gotta
We don't
be,
know yet?
Maybe there'll be something in Mardi Gras World where we can duke it out.
we'll find something. We've got more plans, though. I'll tell you later.
You guys just see.
Chat, you'll see, yes. What else?
That's it.
That is it.
That is it. All right. You guys thinking nap before the party?
Oh, my God, please.
And I
We
slept
need
pretty
another
good last
meal
night,
for
too.
Jakey Poo,
Yeah,
too,
this
I
is,
think.
okay, before we do that, let's go have a nice meal.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, you made me just eat a sandwich like 3 hours ago.
You made them, huh?
That was like at 10 a.m.
True.
I mean, I had to go walk down there.
Oh.
Come on, walk there.
It's further than
I
you
like
think,
it.
actually.
I bet.
I like how Jake says I made him eat a sandwich.
You did.
Well, you did, but
You basically like shunned me away from here. So I was like, all right,
the
I guess
crash
I'm
out
going
was
on a walk.
coming, though.
Honestly, I was, in retrospect, I was more aggressive than I wanted to be, but I think it worked out for everyone.
You pretty much just told him to freak off.
Literally.
Like, I don't want to see you until.
Y'all gotta understand, this was the crankiest cranky Jake I've ever seen in my life. Like,
What do you mean?
I showed up here, and then the first 10 things he said were complaints, and I was like, bro, what is wrong? And Alyssa's like, he's just really hangry, and I was like, go eat.
It's like 10 a.m.
And then come back.
Angry
Bruh.
in the morning.
Well,
Nah,
the
bro.
crankiness started last
Yes,
night
it
when there was
did.
nothing on the menu. Why are we even eating here?
If people knew the last 4 meals I've had out here, they'd be extremely ashamed of what I've done out here in New Orleans.
That is an L, for sure.
Yes.
But
We
it's
gotta
not,
change that
it's
today.
not anyone's fault.
No, but it is also the reality of the situation.
It is the reality. The crazy thing is, so I knew last night was going to be tough for us to get good food because I looked up all of the restaurants that I wanted to go to, and all of them closed at 10.
Yeah.
And we weren't getting done with work until 10, so I was
Right.
like, this is going to be tough. And, yeah, we ended up roughing it for dinner.
We ended up going to bed later last night than we did the night before when we went out and partied.
We did.
Yeah,
but
it's kinda crazy to think about.
the wake up was still a lot easier.
Yes.
It was, well, I don't know.
I
Like
low-key
I said,
felt
I
energy.
paced myself well on Sunday. I don't know about y'all, so
I didn't.
I did not.
we'll see.
I was okay. I made it.
You did fine.
Tomorrow,
I
however, it might be a different story.
Yeah, we'll see what happens tonight.
All I care about is that when we leave that party tonight, people talk about us. They're like, what is wrong with them?
Yeah.
Who are these people?
This should be easy.
Last time, we drank them out of all of their liquor, and then someone was like, just give us shots of something. And they straight up poured shots of white wine and handed them out.
I don't think she'll be doing that tonight, bro.
No, she won't.
Wayne asked what sandwich I had. It's the way you go to get subs.
What?
The way you go to
yeah.
get subs.
Yeah, the cheap one.
That's yeah. It's been rough for the last couple meals.
Maybe we go get like a nice bowl of gumbo right now.
All right, chat, we're going to eat. We'll see you
But
tomorrow.
you just had a sandwich 3 hours ago.
I want
Well-
some shrimp.
Well, it is going to take a minute to get out of here, I assume. So we'll see you then.
All right, let's go Buffs.
We all silly like the mayor.